And I'll tell you a little experiment. Harmer is just amazing that he would apply this stuff experimentally. So he said, I'm going to check this out. So he took two Great Danes, both excellent specimens of health. And he said, I wonder, some people out there might think it's cruel, but he says, I wonder if experimentally within the psyche of this animal, a heart attack can be induced. And so what he did was he took one animal, and what he did was, this is a healthy animal, he took him into surgery, and they tied off one of his coronary arteries. So they tied off one of his coronary arteries, so there was 100% occlusion in one coronary artery. And then they sewed it back up, they treated this animal well, and he healed up, and he did fine. No symptoms. Mm-hmm. Well, that's interesting because they technically just gave that animal a one-vessel heart attack.
Sure.
But we all know about the importance of collateral circulation. So they gave 3 months for the animal to develop collaterals. And then they took him back into surgery. They tied off a second major coronary artery. They tied it off completely, 100% occlusion. And the animal recuperated. They could take him for a walk and gave him 3 months to recover, and he was fine. And they did it yet a third time. A third time they tied off, so he's got now 3-vessel disease, 100% occlusion, but giving enough time for collaterals to form. And of course, this is what Vioxx was not allowing to occur in many people, so it can increase their incidence of heart attacks. It was inhibiting that collateral circulation. So anyway, so that's really interesting. So they took the other animal, and they made this animal lord of his domain. So they literally put him in a wonderful kennel, gave him lots of space. He got a T-bone steak every day. He got petted every day, and he had his boundaries and territory. He had a big space there. And so he was real happy. And they let him really bond to that territory for several months, I think 3, 4, 5 months. And then what they did was they took that animal and they put him in a very small kennel away in a not so nice place and not so good food. And then they brought another dog and put this dog in that dog's territory.
And where this other dog could see it.
That's right, where this other dog could see it. And of course, this other dog goes absolutely nuts. And they let this conflict go. Imagine that dog. We have to see through the eyes of the patient, or in this case, the dog, put ourselves in their shoes. Harmer says we have to be able to transpose ourselves into their perception of events. Think of that dog seeing that old master petting the new dog and not coming up to him. So this went on for an animal like a dog, I believe, if they go longer than I think 6 or 8 weeks, for them that could be fatal. And of course in nature that's not natural for them to have a conflict that long. They usually get over it quick. So anyway, they ran it for about 6 weeks or so, 8 weeks, and then returned that dog to his kennel again and brought the other dog in, and of course took him away, and then let that dog come back. The next morning, the dog was dead.
God,
a heart attack.
That is amazing.
It's absolutely amazing. I mean, Harmer's done some other experiments, with to look for the functionality of disease. And he took 2 glass beakers and put raw hamburger in there, and then he so he took an animal model where there was a stomach cancer in a dog, and in other dogs they had healthy cells. So retrieved these cells from the healthy dog's stomach and grew them and put them in a nutrient broth, and then poured them into raw hamburger, and then takes grinds up the stomach cancer in a nutrient broth, and then dumps it in there. And then he times how long does it take for these hydrochloric acid producing cells, because actually the tumor is functional, to digest this meat. And he found that the tumor, the gastric carcinoma, could digest this hamburger 10-fold faster. Which essentially an animal model of that would be, think of a wolf low on the pecking order. And so this wolf, he gets, and there's a little rabbit leg, boy, he's going to inhale that thing, because all the other bigger wolves want to get it. So he inhales it, let's say, and it's a splintered bone of a rabbit. Well, what if that were to get stuck in that animal's stomach because he didn't chew it well enough, and now there's a perforation? So this animal's life is in danger. There, of course, are no veterinarians around or anything. He can't hack it up. His normal stomach is not capable of digesting it. So actually, he needs a super stomach. He needs a little satellite organ. He needs a turbo function. And to increase, it doesn't guarantee his survival, but to increase the chances. And so he creates this and could digest the bone, this turbo organ, and then when the bone passes through, the brain perceives that, and the brain, with the assistance of mycobacteria, will break down that tumor. And when you break down that tumor, there will be bleeding. There will be bleeding, and if the animal survives that bleeding, then the animal will survive, all because of this intelligent adaptation.
That's just amazing. I want to go back to the Great Dane a bit, though, and it just occurred to me, why did he die when he went back into the environment? Is that part of what you'd expect?
Okay.
Normally, you would think he'd die when he was caged up, not when he was returned back to his normal environment.
Well, now that's a great question. Okay, that question relates to, let's see, I'm looking at some of the possible questions. Okay. That German New Medicine says that skin eruptions, infections, half of all tumors actually appear after the stressful conflict has been resolved. Is this true, and where is the, quote, intelligence in that? So it is intelligent, though, that the stress comes after, because if the organ itself was experiencing stress during your stressful environment, that would be too much stress. So it's like a conservation or a distribution of stress. Better think of a gazelle, and he's just in the African savannah and just hopping along, well, just sitting there eating, and then all of a sudden a lion jumps out. In that split moment, that animal says everything's on the line. In the next 2 minutes will determine if I'm going to live or die. I don't care if I'm sicker than a dog. So to speak, sicker than a dog. 3 or 4 weeks from now, I have to escape right now. So in that time, that stress that the animal underwent, that's when he gets the turbo function of that coronary artery reamed out. When he is caged, the brain is trying to give him strength, but he can't fight. That probably ends up being another conflict. He can't go bite that other dog and get his territory back. He's caged. So there is an intelligence in that the body tries to have the stress follow later, and people try to understand this concept of swelling being related, or brain edema being related to healing. Well, think about, if I put my thumb on the desk here, and if somebody tapped it with a hammer, if it was a light enough tap, well, there's not much injury. It might just, for 1 minute, it might pulse. I might feel the blood coursing through, and then it's fine. Now, if you hit it a bit harder, so a larger mechanical conflict mass, then guess what? Tomorrow it swells up. It turns black and blue. That's not a disease. That's actually the body trying to heal and get out of it. So this fulminant thing we call the heart attack caused by cerebral edema, it's just, that's how the body heals.
Hello, this is Dr. Mercola, and I sure hope you enjoyed that interview as much as I did, but I want you to know it's only a small segment of the complete 2 to 3 hour full interview I did. And those interviews are available to members of my Inner Circle. And every month, members of my Inner Circle will receive a complete 2 to 3 hour interview of one of the top health experts in the world who is willing to share their secrets they've learned over a lifetime to help you and your family take control of your health. In addition to that, Inner Circle members also receive a 2-hour DVD full of health information that you can use as an alternative to watching commercial TV, and a 24-page printed newsletters that's mailed directly to your home every month. And as a free bonus, Inner Circle members also receive a copy of my book, Take Control of Your Health, and a variety of other benefits. And it is one of the best values I've ever put together. It's a complete no-brainer. I encourage you to join. There's absolutely no risk at all, because if for any reason at all you are not completely 100% satisfied, my customer service team has clear, specific instructions to give you a prompt refund. So it doesn't get any better than that, and I encourage you to take advantage of this special offer so that you and your family members can start to take control of your health.